with the conversation. Yes, we have a sign language interpreter and we are enabling her video right now. Thank you. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us for the June edition of OpenMicForDisabilities. I have with me a guest I'm very much excited about because I see the excellent work they do and I'm a fan. With us on this edition of OpenMicForDisability is Dr. I hope I don't bother the name, please, I apologize ahead. Dr. Ayoola Arowolo. Can we just put our hands together for him? You can use the emojis. You can type in the comment section to welcome our guest speaker. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Deborah Ella Yusuf. I am a programs associate with the IREDE Foundation, and I'll be moderating this session with Dr. And let me just give a brief bio of who Dr. is, and then he would also just chip in a bit before we start the conversation proper. So Dr. Arowolo Ayoola is a visionary technologist, data analyst, and disability inclusion advocate based in Abuja, Nigeria. He's the founder and executive director of Deaf in Tech, an edtech platform under Data Lead Africa that empowers deaf and hearing impaired youth with skills in data analytics, coding, and ICT. He holds a PhD in data science, and he combines his academic excellence with deep practical experience in monitoring and evaluation, inclusive education, and tech adoption. He has been honored as a corporate social change maker 2013 and frequently contributes thought leadership on inclusive tech and disabilities and disability rights. Let's put our hands together for Dr. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I mix the two names together to form a name sometimes. I'm trying not to do that.
Arowolo.
Arowolo, yes. Arowolo. Sometimes I just mix it up and say Arowola, something like that. I'm so sorry for that. All right. So you're welcome. It's an honor to have you on this conversation. I think I saw your video earlier on, and I'd just like us to start the conversation and just tell us a bit about yourself before we go into the presentation. I've shared your slides with my colleague, and once you're ready to start after you tell us a bit about yourself so that we can just sort of connect with you, and then we'll go into the presentation. Thank you. So your mic is muted.
Oh, sorry. I was introducing myself, okay? So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Arowolo, and in the deaf community, my name is signed as AY. EY, EY, okay? So I will allow my interpreter to continue with the interpretation in sign language, okay? But thank you, nice meeting everyone. Michael, you may just continue the signing. Thank you, while I voice. Michael, are you with me? Seems our video is frozen.
Yes, it seems Michelle is frozen.
Okay. So I will continue in sign language so that the people who are here that will need to hear me. I am happy to be here. I have heard many things that, and also seen what IREDE is doing. And it is a pleasure to be here. I can see that we have quite a number of my deaf colleagues on board. Just for ease, I may just ask them, since Michelle's video is frozen, if the closed caption, they are able to follow the closed caption easily. Fanen, are you able to follow the closed caption? And if it's working well at your side? So thank you for having me. And Deborah, please, you may continue. Thank you.
All right, sir. So since you have your slides prepared, I'll just let you take on with the presentation. And then afterwards, I can ask like follow-up questions and also open the room for audience to interact and ask questions and share experience from, trying to access digital services. So I'll just allow you to lead on that, and then we'll come around to the other part of it.
Okay, so I'll share my screen. Yep. Share screen, share screen. And then.
Okay, if you would like me, I could share the screen from my end.
Can you see my screen now?
Okay, yes, I can.
Okay, once again, thanks for having me. I just briefed through my conversation, what I've put together in a slide, bridging the digital divide. And this is a very, very important conversation, especially in the disability community, because the world has gone very digital, and tech is a leveler. Tech levels the opportunity for everyone. Tech levels the playing ground for the young man in Otupo in Benue State and the young man in New York in the US. It gives everybody that fair playing ground where they can all dream and access global opportunities. And this is why it's important that we really begin to look at how to bridge the digital divide. But I'll just start the conversation with an African proverb. This proverb says that when the drum beats only for the chief, the village forgets how to dance. When we have a drummer who only drums and beats for the chief, then the rest persons in the village begins to forget even how to dance. And that's the problem we are having within our ecosystem, whereby we design for a certain group of people, and then systematically exclude some people. Okay, so only the village chief knows how to dance because the drum has always been drumming for the village chief. I just said that the digital world is like that drum. The essence of the drumming is to unify us, is for all of us to be able to dance. Both the king and the subjects should be able to dance to the sound of the drum. And once we now play the drum only for certain people, we have automatically excluded the others. So persons with disabilities, especially in Africa, they are often at that edge where they just watch other people dance to a rhythm that they cannot hear or access or even afford. So they just watch the able, the non-disabled do the dancing while they are just watching, okay? And I used to tell a story of a friend of mine while we were in the university. During my undergraduate, my roommate was a deaf guy. He's a deaf guy. And in fact, that's one of the things that drew me into the deaf community. He's a deaf guy. And fast forward, leaving the university, about 20, 22, 25 years ago now, I came across my friend. He has not been able to make much progress with life, not because he wasn't a smart guy while we were in school, but because somehow the system is designed in a way that does not allow him to grow very fast. He can only watch other people dance while him is unable to dance because tech gives you access to information. All of the information for career growth, for economic advancement are all tech driven. They are all within the digital space. So somehow my friend, very intelligent guy, very nice guy, he's discriminated against by no fault of his, because some people have decided to play drum for only the chief. They've played the drums only for the non-disabled. So it's not because the persons with disability lack the potential, but because the system was never designed with them in mind. And this is why we must talk about bridging the digital divide. And this is why this conversation is very essential. So this is one of my favorite quotes, which I always share. I said that when policies and technologies ignore diversity, they are not neutral. The designer has already taken side that oppresses the left out. When you design any system that ignores diversity, don't assume that you are neutral. We could come into this, for instance, this open mic. If you design this open mic in a way that it ignores diversity, don't think you are neutral. Don't think that, no, what you are just doing is that you've taken side already, that this event is not for certain people. If there's no sign language interpreter here, you have only said that this event is not for the deaf community. So you've taken side. So over the years, as we design system, we think we are neutral. We think we are helping society. What we've been doing is that we've been taking side and oppressing the people who we have left out invariably. And so when we talk about this digital divide, we're actually talking about gaps between individuals. Like I gave example of my roommate in the university. I went ahead to go and do my master's, do my PhD, even if he is very, very smart. That opportunity is not readily available for him. When I will quickly get the information for PhD scholarship, he may not get that information because of the digital gap that exists between me and him, just on the basis that I am hearing and he is deaf. No fault of his. So when we're talking of digital divide, there are 4 major components in the digital divide. One is access divide. Do I have the access? Not everyone can afford these tools. One day I did a survey amongst my deaf community and just did a survey of the tech tool in terms of phone that they use. If you take 10 deaf persons and 10 hearing persons and you look at the type of phone that they have, only about 30% have access to smartphones, where they can even connect to the internet to even be part of this event. But you hardly can find a non-disabled person who don't have that access. So we're saying that in terms of access, not everyone is able to afford the tool that helps to bridge the divide. Access to internet, I speak from the deaf community, for instance. If you look at every other communities, The deaf community is very heavy on the internet if they must communicate. They do everything almost on video calls. They need video calls to be able to do most of the things they do because they need to sign. That's heavy on data. That's high cost on internet. So access is one major divide. Then usability, use. The lack of digital literacy. Growing up as a hearing person, it was easy for me to learn technological skills, not because I am smart, but because the educational system, the institutions of learning, the training institutions were designed to beat the drum for me to dance. So the drums are already there for me to dance. Anywhere I turn to, I can learn whatever I want to learn. But look at a blind person. The number of resources available for a blind person to learn tech are very limited. Look at a deaf person. So digital literacy, that skill, as basic as internet surfing skills, you see it as very basic skill, but is deeply lacking within the disability community. These are the things that helps to bridge the quality of our infrastructure and connectivity. I just spoke about the types of devices. We at the Deaf in Tech, we provide training for the deaf community. Every cohort we bring in about 20 persons to class. And of these 20 persons that we bring to class, sometimes we are lucky to find one person who has a laptop, So what we're even saying is that the infrastructure, having laptops to learn, it's not even there, you understand, because, and it's not of their own choice, but systematically, as I speak on, you will see how we have over the years systematically deepened a divide and neglected a community, while we were beating drum for the chief only to dance. So inclusion divide, the contents that are available online, which I've spoken about on our digital platforms, they exclude persons with disability. You can basically go on YouTube now and just type how to make your hair, how to wear my glasses, how to make XYZ dress. And you will see tons of video on how to make your hair, on how to make your clothes, but for a deaf person, I cannot go online and say how to make my hair. The resources are not there. They are very limited to a blind person. So even content that are being created and curated already excludes persons with disabilities. Are you getting that now? So, and this is why it matters, because it affects their education. It affects the education of persons with disability. It affects employment opportunities. It affects social participation. So I can freely just, if I open my system, I can check for any postdoctoral opportunity that I can access. I can easily find information on grants, on all of that. But that's different because the contents are curated in a way that excludes the community. IREDE, what I'm trying to say is that over the years, we have been beating the drum for the chief only to dance. The chief has mastered how to dance and forgotten that the rest community members don't know how to dance. My slide is frozen or something. Just I want to move to the next slide, but it seems that it's frozen. Okay, good. That works. So why this conversation matters, dear colleagues, is because the digital divide, it disproportionately affects persons with disability. Nigeria has close to 20 million persons with different categories of disabilities. But we've designed a system that disproportionately affects them in the digital space. Just a few months ago, I flew with some of my colleagues. We went to do a program in Uyo, and our airport system, you know, it's a digital infrastructure. When you go to the airport, there's an announcer who announces and tells you, ladies and gentlemen, this is to announce that this flight is boarding from Abuja to Lagos, Lagos to Uyo. A whole facility like that, never thought that there would be people who don't hear to provide TV screen as basic as a television screen that announces flights, so that I can just go to the screen and see when my flight is being announced. The digital divide, it disproportionately affects persons with disability. While tech is expected to empower, over the years, we have created systematically a way that it excludes. So, dear colleagues, and this is why I'm very, very impressed with what IREDE Foundation is doing with this open mic conversation. Inclusion is a right. It is not a privilege. Breaking the digital divide is not a favor. It's that 20 million Nigerians need to participate in the digital economy, and we must do something. I think that has happened again. Good.
I think we can see your screen.
Okay, you can see my screen. Okay, good.
Yes.
So, permit me if I just continue to speak from the community that I'm very much conversant with. So, for many deaf youths in Nigeria, online courses don't have captions. You go to government portals, they are not even sign language friendly. Job platforms require phone calls. When we talk of interviews, one of my colleagues interview for a job, but nobody thought that a sign language interpreter should be provided for him at the point of interview. So we have a system that weren't designed with persons with disability in mind. So somehow they've been locked out for years. So of course, this is another of my favorite quote. The digital divide is not just a technology issue. So when we are talking of digital divide, let's not be thinking of tech. It's an human right issue. Because when people are excluded from the digital world, they are excluded from opportunity, they are excluded from education, and they are excluded from power. Not because they do not have the capacity, but because we have designed in a way that excludes. So what bridging the divide requires, it will not happen by goodwill or charity. We will need to deliberately begin to design inclusive policies and a shift in the power dynamics. One, so I talk about inclusive design thinking. We must design systems with diversity in mind. For instance, if you are designing an app, the app must think about the disability community. It must think about people who are not in the majority, okay? So there's what we call the universal design principle. And what does that mean? The universal design principle in tech is that design for the minority. Once you design for the minority, the majority will be able to fool. Okay? And our tech platforms, there must be accessibility audits. For instance, Zoom has provided what it takes to be able to integrate almost all communities. But we need to learn how to use it. For instance, you see that our sign language interpreter is on the same platform with us. Usually, there is also a back-end platform where you can sign in the interpreter separately, and it doesn't interfere with the videos for other persons, okay? So we need to, for platforms we use, we need to do accessibility audits, look at it and see how it brings in every other person. Inclusive UX, UI practices, good fonts. If you look at a lot of our websites, the government websites, tiny fonts. For someone who rely on captions, who is going to rely on text, you need it to be bold. If government platforms don't have Braille versions or versions that allows you to, that voice prompt what's available on that platform. So it must be inclusive. Our UI UX practices for government and private sector in Africa and especially in Nigeria must embrace inclusive UX UI practices where you design universally, not just for specific people. We need to begin to invest in skills. We cannot ask people to cross a bridge we haven't built. So we must fund access. And what do we mean? We need to begin to have specialized tech trainings for the different disability clusters because they all come with varying needs. Recently, my organization, we started working with the albino community, and we found that your typical classroom doesn't even support learning for them. The amount of light rays that comes from projector screens doesn't make learning visible for the albino community. We must begin to have inclusive training programs that trains persons with disability into tech, okay, that allows them to be able to use all of the platforms that we've been using, okay, things like LinkedIn. At the Deaf in Tech, we do LinkedIn optimizations for our students, LinkedIn training, to even know how to use LinkedIn to pitch their own skills, okay? What you think are basic tech skills, they are skills that are so lacking within the disability community that we must invest in. And there must be an handshake between the public sector and the private sector in terms of partnering to educate the disability community when it comes to tech. You go to a lot of our disability schools, at least I've been to the deaf school in Abuja, and you don't even see access to tools like the deaf students having computers to learn from, you know. So there must be an handshake between the public sector and the private sector to invest in skills and in tools, okay, for the disability community. There must be intentional institutional and policy reforms. There must be disability inclusion in all of our digital economic plans. For instance, the national budget. Is the national budget available in Braille? Can a blind person pick up the national budget and be able to see the opportunities available for their communities on the budget? Because it's available in Braille or it's available in a way that it can be voice, I mean, in a tool that allows them to voice read. There must be policy mandating accessibility for all of our government platforms, especially the digital platforms, the website. There must be a policy that mandates that all government platforms must be accessible for persons with disability, providing closed captions for where it's videos, providing bold text for where it's text, providing voice prompt reading for where it's text so that persons who are blind are able to read, you know. And then we must make deliberate budget allocation for inclusive tech infrastructure. It takes a lot. I see in other civilized communities, in other developed communities where you see things as basic as street light is inclusive for persons with disability. Now you go to a street light, traffic light, and you touch the traffic light, it's Braille enabled. It's able to tell you when the light turns green. It's able to tell you when the light turns red. It's able to, the traffic light voice prompt you to tell you when you can cross the road. That's investment in inclusive tech, okay? So inclusive tech. So many of these things requires that government becomes more deliberate to allocate funds for tech infrastructure. And I like to conclude my thought by saying that digital inclusion is not charity. It is justice in practice and policy. That government must see this as justice to persons with disability, private sector employers must see that digital inclusion is not charity. You're not trying to do someone a favor, but rather is justice, is you trying to ensure that we all have equal playing ground to global opportunities and opportunities within our communities. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Can we just put our hands together for him? Use the emojis. You can also put it down in the caption. This has been very insightful. And at this point, I just want to take the time to talk about Open Mic for Disabilities. It's part of a broader project, which is DEEP, Disability Employability Empowerment Project, which is supported by DRF, that is Disability Rights Fund. Now, what we're trying to achieve with this conversation is just to bring, bridge the divide between government, CSOs, and persons with disability and persons without disabilities to, build collaboration, enhance understanding, and dismantle stereotypes and stigma. And we've been doing this since February, and we'll continue to do it till the end of the year. So if you're not following us, please follow us so that you'll be getting the updates and know what's next we'll be talking about. And this is the conversation is going to be is recorded and it's going to be available on our YouTube channel. So in case you know someone that you would like to share that with, please do. Now, we are not done yet. I just needed to say that before I go into the next phase. All right, so I have a few questions, and please, anybody at all, whether you're a person with disability, whether you're a person without any disability that would like to share an experience you had, you just like to make a contribution, or you have a question, you can begin to think about that, and then we'll open a slot so that you can contribute. So I think I just have one or two questions before we move to that phase. So my question would be, I see a lot of work that Deaf in Tech does with government agencies to train them sign language with, how to use sign language. So, and I know, what how important partnerships and collaborations is important in this space. I would like you to share a few challenges that you've experienced in trying to engage the government and how you're able to bridge that. And I think it's going to be a two-pronged question. So the second part will be that, would you say within the span of the years you've been working in this field, would you say that there have been, successes with respect to bridging the gap for deaf persons in respect to any government agency at all, department, or any MDA? So that's my question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Debbie, for your very thoughtful question. Yes, of course, we're making progress. It's just the pace at which we're making the progress that is the issue. We're making progress. And I always say something that when we're making progress and the progress is slow, it's not a function of time, it's a function of lives that are unable to maximize themselves because of the slow pace at which we are making change. So if it takes us 15 years to become very inclusive, what it means is that the child born today is going to lose 15 years of their life trying to wait for us to embrace more inclusion. I think the disability community has done their best trying to adjust to the majority as much than what the non-disability community has tried to adjust to the need of the disability community. So coming to government agencies, for instance, the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps, which is one very good example of an organization who is now embracing inclusion. We train deaf people in tech. So I just went in to see the commandant to ask for slots that, see, when you guys are doing recruitment, you don't hire our people. I mean, providing security does not require that you must hear. And then if security is just tailored to a particular hearing community, should the deaf community go and create their own security apparatus and say Nigerian Deaf Civil Defense Corps? The security system must be very inclusive. And of course, he bought into it. And like, yes, that they've been having issues where deaf persons maybe are arrested, or they bring cases and they don't know what to do because they can't sign back to them. And immediately he mandated that the FCT command, I mean the commandant at the FCT, Dr. Olushola Odumosu, that immediately all personnel in the FCT command must be trained in sign language. Now we've been on this journey for a couple of months now, training personnel every week, week in, week out. What this is doing is that now a deaf person can conveniently seek justice at the FCT command. Because even if the personnel can't sign completely, the personnel now understand that there is a community called deaf people and they deserve to be heard. It's different from when they've never been trained and they've never been exposed to these communities. We did a survey, the disability readiness assessment, and we found the gap in readiness in our different sector. For instance, the security sector recorded the lowest. I could share the link to the disability readiness assessment, where security apparatus are not aware of the needs of the disability community. For instance, a road safety officer sees a deaf person driving, and then, I mean, he feels, why should a deaf person drive? You know, because he's not aware of the needs of this community and how this community are able to do their thing. So we want to see that each of our sector, that's just one sector, the health sector. It would be shocking to know, because I work from the deaf community, that none of the public health facility in our federal capital has a sit-in sign language interpreter, meaning that you cannot go to the national hospital and there is an employed sign language interpreter in the health facility. So how does a deaf person seek health care? You understand? I mean, so you come to our education space, which the education sector, which is the most grown, the most inclusive of all of the public interfacing sectors. But still, few of our universities, till date, most of our universities can only give persons with disabilities special education to study. What if I want to study computer science? What if I want to study philosophy? What if I want to become a lawyer? So that's why if you check, 90% of persons with disability, especially the deaf and the blind community, all studied the same course, special education. Special education, because that's the only department that they now provide sign language. But who said that the dream of this deaf person, that the dream of this blind person is just to study special education? I want to be a doctor. Recently, I saw a Syrian who is working in Nigeria. He is deaf, but he's a trained medical doctor. This is because the system from where he's coming allows him to be able to train as a medical doctor while he is being taught in his native language. Sign language is the native language of the deaf, just like we speak English. Okay, so it's a journey. We're making small progress. Universities like University of Ilorin are making progress. Universities like the University of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, making progress with a bit more inclusion. But we're saying that the dream of this person with disability is not to study special education. They want to study theater arts. But theater art department, no sign language interpreter to bridge the divide. Yeah.
Thank you so much for answering that question. So my
Yeah.
last question before I open the mic up for our participants would be, are there any recommendations for resources where persons with disability, either for, persons with deaf persons or visually impaired persons, that, okay, this platform is accessible, they can try out this platform or that platform for online courses now I'm talking about, that you can just recommend so that our participants can sort of take advantage of that?
Yeah. So the disability community is very, very varied, and the needs and the understanding of the needs are very varied. For us now, we work with the deaf community. I don't know so much about the blind community, so I don't know what platforms are available for them. But for the deaf community, we created a platform called DeafLearn, www.deaflearn.org. I could type that here also, where a deaf person can learn, instead of coming physically to our class, can learn Python programming, can learn Excel, can learn Power BI, all in sign language, in their native language. Okay. And we've seen that platform being very, very helpful, even for the deaf community outside of Nigeria. Of course, the sign language we used is the Nigerian Sign Language, but we've seen feedback even from other English-speaking African countries where they are using American Sign Language, saying that the platform has been helpful to them. Yes, aside from DeafLearn that is coming from Africa, coming from Nigeria, we currently do not have any platform in Africa or in the world where you can learn tech as a deaf person in sign language. You will only need to rely on closed caption on YouTube, which sometimes can be very difficult and tricky. Okay. Yes, Coursera provides closed captions. Udemy provides closed captions for people who want to learn. But a platform that is natively in sign language, we have the first, which is the DeafLearn, www.deaflearn, and still also work in progress. That's the site. It allows you sign up for a course just similar to what's available on Coursera. You sign up and then learn directly in sign language.
Sorry, I apologize. I'm so sorry for cutting you off. I just got a message from the sign language interpreter, and apparently our video has been off. Network kicked her out and then brought her back in. So I just want to draw my colleagues' attention to it, and to please kindly turn on the video of Michelle Odumfa. Please help out with that, Busaya, if you can hear me. Thank you. Okay, she's back on. Apologies for that. But I'm sure we may have been able to follow the conversation with the caption. Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Okay, so I just share that for a native platform that teaches tech in sign language, we have the first, which is the deaflearn.org. It's still work in progress, but for the courses that we've curated on those platforms, it's been helpful for the deaf community. We've had over 500 students enlisted on that platform and learning tech, learning Python programming, learning SQL, learning Excel, learning Power BI on that platform. Otherwise, there are other platforms that has closed captions. YouTube has captions, Udemy has captions, and Coursera is also another good platform that has captions. Both the trainings, the courses are not in native sign language. Thank you. Be over from me.
Apologies, my network kicked me out, but I am back. Thank you so much, Doctor. So we're opening the mics now for questions, contributions, and experience sharing. And so if you have any, please just indicate by raising your hands up, and my colleague will grant you access to the mic. If you've typed any, I would also be in the chat looking for the questions. Guys, let's share our experiences. Let's talk. The entire point of the conversation of open mic for disability is to, learn from one another, build a community of persons. Okay. So Abiola has a chart here that I would look at and read. Okay. So Abiola Oluwajoba says, as someone who has tried to support others like myself in similar situations through fundraising and awareness, how can we build a stronger network, NGOs and advocates who work together, not singly, to support the disability community more effectively? That's a very good question, and I would allow Doctor answer that question, as I expect more people to share. And I was wait for that, Doctor.
Okay, I'm not sure I got the question, but I heard the part of partnership. Could you frame the question again, please?
Okay. So he's asking how we can build a stronger network of NGOs and advocates who work together, not in isolation, so to support disability communities more effectively.
Yes, I actually agree with what he has said. I don't see that more as a question, but more like that's what we should be doing. We must come together. And like I said, the disability community is so varying in need. For us, starting the Deaf in Tech, it took us a whole year of learning first before we even launched out. I mean, reading resources, going to conferences, going to meetings, trying to understand the needs of the deaf community. What it does mean is that if we want to branch out into the blind community, for instance, we will require leverage, partnerships, knowledge. Who is there? Who is already doing something in that sector? What are they doing? How are they doing it? What knowledge can be shared? And that's what we've been doing at the Deaf in Tech. Also in trying to start up small other groups who are serving the deaf community. For instance, we just started the Deaf in Tech community in Uyo in Akwa Ibom State. But instead of going to replicate the Deaf in Tech there's an organization there who is interested called Hands on Data. So what did we go to do? We went to partner with them, share with them our knowledge. Instead of them taking 1 year of doing a lot of research and learning for us since we pioneered. So we're sharing with them our resources. This is what we have learned. This is how best to trade. This is who to talk to. So we're sharing resources with them to help them to be able to start. And I think that's what we should be looking at for NGOs serving the disability community. One, don't hoard information. Every information that you share with another NGO, it makes them better in serving the community. Be willing to collaborate. Be willing to collaborate. This thing about working in silos is very cultural for us. It started all the way from school years where you read alone, you wrote your exam alone. You just like to do let nobody steal my answer kind of lifestyle. But you see, as we as we make progress with life, you're seeing that the world is so big that holding your information limits you yourself. So share information, share grant opportunities for NGOs who need such grant opportunities. Share technical information where you have. Be willing to volunteer with other organizations. When I got information from IREDE to be here, I don't have to think about it twice. It's a privilege to share thoughts with what IREDE is already doing amazing job. So collaboration, partnership, sharing information, it helps all of us be able to serve the community much better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. Please, let's give him a round of applause. And the next person I'll be calling on is Anthony Precious. Anthony Precious, please, can my colleague just grant him access to the mic and video? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Good day, everyone. Good day. Thank you so very much, Mr. Dr. Arowolo. I mean, the question the lady asked and the way you answered, it resonated so well with me. And I just want to commend you for your
Is it me? But I can't hear Anthony again. I don't know if.
Okay, I thought it was just me too. Anthony, we lost you. I don't know if you can hear us, but we can't hear you anymore. So, Abiola Oluwajoba, you have another question. So, would you like to unmute and speak or write it down? Can we please grant Abiola Oluwajoba the mic? Okay. Can we unmute Abiola? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, Debbie, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. So I think we had a beautiful session today, and I just really want to thank everyone for joining. Unfortunately, network is not so good, and not everyone is having a great network to contribute. So I think Abiola is ready now. Please, okay, it's Abisola now. Okay, Abisola Odutayo, please, let's unmute Abisola Odutayo. Aisha Isa has a question, Dr. Arowolo. She says, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for the program. I'm a mother to a deaf daughter, and in my place where I live, I see other deaf children that are not taken to school. How do I go about convincing them, that is, the parents?
This is very thoughtful question, and thank you, Aisha, for what you're doing. First, this almost looks like similar patterns for persons with disability. In their first early years, parents, instead of getting them to begin to adjust to school, are trying to find solution and figure out solution for the child's disability. And before you know what's happened, they are wasting time, so you see a deaf child, he's 10 years already, he has not started primary school because all these years, mommy and daddy has been trying to see, will this work? Let's go spiritual, let's go hospital. I mean, just running all kind. And then there is this stigma that also comes with disability, where parents don't want the child with disability to be visible within the community. They want to hide the child. And Aisha, you will need to continue to speak to the parent, in doing that advocacy, and they will see an example from your own daughter. From your daughter becomes an example for them, seeing how your daughter is adjusting to social life by being in school, learning, and making progress with her own academics. It allows the other parents to see something to model after. Sometimes parents is that they don't see an example. And this question you've asked is a very sensitive one for me. I have a daughter, my younger sister, who was disabled. She's dead now. She died at 27. She was 27 years when she died, and she never went to any school. Now, we grew up in the same house. She had multiple disability. But for years, while we were going to school, our parents didn't know how to go about it. So, for children with now multiple disabilities, she was lame, she couldn't speak, so she was just indoor for 27 years. You go until she died. Didn't go to school. And this is why I have this passionate resolve to see that, to help people see that, one, nobody chooses disability. No parent goes to and say, oh, I'm selecting to give birth to. No, disability chooses us. And when disability chooses us, it's our responsibility to now begin to guide the child through the platforms that are already available. There are schools for deaf kids. And even if the child can't go to a deaf school, if it's far away, they can even start with regular schools. There are regular private schools now who are beginning to embrace small inclusion, like bringing a sign language interpreter to school or using other means to teach the child. But school is very, very important for the child. And I just wish you well, Aisha, as you help that parent, because I have a sister who died at 27 and never went to school because she was disabled.
But so sorry for your loss, doctor. I mean, these are the stories here when working within this community. And yeah, I'd just like to encourage you, Aisha, to do what doctor says and just be persistent. At this point, I'm not seeing a lot of questions. I was begging you guys earlier, ask questions, share. But we're running out of time because it's supposed to be a 1-hour conversation. And I'm sorry, as much as I would like to take more questions, at this point, I can't. But do ensure to follow us when we bring the next conversation next month with you. And yes, so, and I would also just close by, I don't know if my boss, the executive director of the IREDE Foundation, would like to just give the closing remarks if she's still on here. But if she's not, I would just go on to close the conversation. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and even more importantly, for engaging. Thank you so much, Dr. Arowolo Ayoola. I think I've gotten the hang of it now. For being available and answering all the questions and just, all the work that you do. I mean, it cannot be quantified. Thank you for honoring the invitation. And yes, so we have an application that is open right now. It's a call for application for employability training. It's supposed to close today. So it has been on for like 2 months. So please go to our website, go to our social media. If you need assistance, there are phone numbers you can call and we can guide you through the application process if you're finding any difficulties. But I think it's pretty much, accessible. So please apply. We'll be placing some participants on internship, 2-month internship after the employability training. So if there's something you're looking forward to, if there's something you want to do, please apply and share widely. You can find it across social media pages. Thank you, everyone. And I don't know if Dr. Arowolo has a closing statement.
No, I don't have. I'm just responding to Abisola that he can use OBS Studio. And if you have any challenge installing OBS, I've sent the link to OBS Studio. You can use it to record yourself and while you are signing. And I'd like to work with you if you have any challenge doing that recording. It will be very helpful. He's a sign language interpreter. We need that. If you record the video, we need it. We're going to make it go into the community. And if you're having any problem recording, you can reach out to me. If you're in Abuja and you need very good recordings facility to be able to record, you can always come to our office at Data Lead Africa to record your videos. We'll share with you our platform to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much, Doctor. It's a pleasure. It's an honor.